Hello from Jonathan and me, welcome to the programme.
First tonight, a paramedic who left a father to try and resuscitate his dying son was today struck off at a disciplinary hearing.
8-year-old Harry Sherman from Colchester, who suffered from cerebral palsy, died last April after an ambulance crew failed to treat him properly. Tonight, Harry's father told Anglia News he was pleased with the hearing's verdict. Rhiannon Mills reports.
For the past 18 months, Harry Sherman's parents say they've been fighting for justice for him. Today they saw the paramedic, who they'd called to come and help him, banned from the medical profession.
Obviously, the result was never going to be good for us, because it's just proven what we've known all along, that what they did, or in this case didn't do that night, prevented Harry from having a chance of a fight for life, which is what he was doing, and that has come to light in the last few days as well.
For Harry, life had already been a struggle. He suffered from cerebral palsy and was just 8 years old when he died. It was here at home back in April last year that Harry fell ill. He was having trouble breathing, which is why his parents called for the paramedics. But when Alan McFarlane arrived, he failed to even give basic life-saving treatment, eventually leaving Harry's father, Marlon, to look after him in the back of the ambulance. Today at the misconduct hearing, the Health Professional Council decided to strike off Alan McFarlane. The panel said that his conduct fell woefully short of what was expected. As the senior clinician, he failed to take responsibility. On the way to hospital, Mr. Sherman was left to continue his resuscitation efforts. No effective clinical care was extended. And it rejected Mr. McFarlane's claim that he'd failed to act because he feared that Harry's father would be aggressive. Today's verdict, Harry's parents hope, will stop other people going through the same thing.
The main answer there would be that this guy has been removed from doing this, or not doing his job in future, so that will stop anybody else having to suffer what we've gone through. It's horrendous for any parent when they've lost a child, whatever age, for whatever reason, but to have this sort of burden on the top is just horrific. And if we've stopped someone else, just the one person having to go through that, when we've achieved something on Harry's behalf today.
For Marlon and Alison, the past few months have been difficult, dealing with the loss of their son and their own crusade to make sure that his death wasn't in vain. Now they hope to finally put some of the bad memories surrounding his final hours with them behind them.
Well, Rhiannon joins us live now from outside the family home in Colchester. Rhiannon, what have the East of England Ambulance Service had to say about this?
Well, Sasha, literally in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, we've heard from the East of England Ambulance Service. They sent a statement saying that as soon as we became aware of this tragic incident, the ambulance crew involved was immediately suspended and an investigation launched. Both are no longer in our employment. The involvement of the HPC, which governs the fitness to practice and the registration of paramedics, was the natural next step in this case. We offer our sincere apologies to the Sherman family. Now, talking to the Sherman family earlier, they've accepted that apology but say that they will never feel the same again about their ambulance service. This, as you could see earlier, were some parents who were prepared to do anything for their son, and they will never forget the fact that in those final hours they were the ones fighting to save his life.
All right, Rhiannon Mills, thank you very much indeed for that. Now then, in other news, the shortage of beds at a Norfolk hospital is easing tonight after managers said they'd been battling the busiest period in its history.
Mounting demands on the James Paget at Galston had led to severe pressure on staff. And as winter draws in, it seems the hospital is not alone, with more and more operations being cancelled. Malcolm Robertson reports.
Catherine Bond knows all too well the frustration of having to wait for an operation. Twice she had hers on her back cancelled at the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital. She eventually had it done last week. Over the course of 6 months, the hospital had to cancel 400 operations.
The first time it was cancelled, it was a real shock. I wasn't expecting it. I thought I would go into hospital, the operation would be done, I'd be able to come home. I was looking forward to it, looking forward to getting the pain sorted, which I've been experiencing, and it would have been so nice to have been done. Second time, I don't suppose it was much of a shock because I had heard of the problems with the bed shortages.
As the weather worsens, so will pressure on our hospitals. This is when accident and emergency departments get particularly busy. That's certainly true for the Norfolk and Norwich and the James Paget at Gorleston. For 9 out of the last 14 days, the James Paget Hospital has been on black alert, which is the most critical situation a hospital can face. In fact, so stretched are they that they weren't able to put anybody from their medical team up for interview on camera, and they wouldn't even allow us on site. But I was told that this was the busiest they've ever been. I asked if there was a particular reason for that, and he said no, it was just a combination of factors. Valerie Penny's been at the James Paget, having recently broken her arm. She's just returned for treatment.
It was busier this morning, obviously. There's lots of breaks in there and people waiting.
The James Paget has been on black alert, but that was reduced today. The Norfolk and Norwich has also been on black, but was red today. The only other hospitals in our region on high alert are Ipswich and Luton and Dunstable. Although busy, they say they're coping well. Ian Mack is a GP near King's Lynn and is chairman of the clinical executive at NHS Norfolk. He says patients can do their bit to ease the problem.
It's our public duty to make sure we use the facility that would best meet our particular needs clinically. If our need doesn't need to be dealt with in an A&E department, it's much better to see the GP, to see the pharmacist, or to go to the walk-in centre.
Catherine Bond is now recovering at home. She certainly won't be alone in having her operation cancelled this winter. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News, Norfolk.
Well, we may not get to the ballot box until next May, but it seems the countdown to the next general election is well underway.
Yes, it was a day of pomp and ceremony at the state opening of Parliament as the government outlined new laws in the Queen's speech.
Among the measures, a crime bill to crack down on antisocial behaviour.
New laws giving parents and pupils guarantees about what they can expect from schools.
The government wants to help elderly people to stay in their own homes with free personal care.
And there's going to be a number of measures to help the economy, including a pledge to halve the national debt in 4 years.
My government's overriding priority is to ensure sustained growth, to deliver a fair and prosperous economy for families and businesses, as the British economy recovers from the global economic downturn.
Well, David Hughes has been in Westminster for us today. We spoke to him a short time ago and I began by asking him just how much ground it covered.
Well, it was a short Queen's speech. It was the shortest since 1997. In fact, only 10 new bills, but it had to be short. We've only got a short period of time before the next general election. It has to be held by June next year. It'll probably be in May. And what the government is trying to do is just highlight those dividing lines between them and the other parties. Here's what some of our local MPs thought of the Queen's speech.
I think this is a very busy Queen's speech from a government that's committed to doing its best for the hard-working families of Britain, getting on with building up our economy after the global downturn that we've been through, and then reforming government so that we've got smarter government, we have public services that meet individuals' needs in the 21st century.
The question really on everyone's lips is, why haven't they been sorted out already? Why has it taken 12 years to make sure that teachers and parents and pupils get a good deal at school, to make sure that people who need social care can get it properly? And indeed, there are ways in which I would go further on that particular scheme. There is so much in what we've heard today that should have been done years ago.
For a Parliament that has lost so much credibility to be embarking on this extraordinarily large legislative agenda, which we know isn't going to be completed, we know it's just posturing before a general election. It's just fantasy land and it discredits politics further.
Controversially, in the past hour or so, Charles Clarke, the MP for Norwich South, a former Cabinet Minister, has stood up in the House of Commons and criticised the Queen's speech. He said using these dividing lines is neither the best way to run the country or to win in 2010. He said he'd find the Queen's speech difficult to support.
Instead of legislating in a way which sets out a constructive ambition for the future, I fear that this Queen's speech shows that we're dominated by political fear of our opponents. That's not the right way for Labour to win, and it makes it more difficult for us to do so.
Well, David, Charles Clarke critical there of the Queen's speech, but what should people in East Anglia be looking out for which might actually affect them?
Well, there's one particular bill that might just affect us. We've got a very long coastline, of course, and we are prone to flooding, and that is it's the Flood and Water Management Bill. It follows on from the devastating floods of summer 2007, which impacted some parts of our region, £3 billion worth of damage, 55,000 homes affected across the country. There's been other localised flooding incidents across the years, including in Great Yarmouth. This is kind of street flooding the government wants to tackle, giving new powers to local councils. Now, I suspect that bill will get broad political support across the spectrum. Others will be harder to get through, given the tight timetable. One thing is certain, though, the election campaign is already underway, and our region will be key in that election campaign, with so many of the key marginals right here in our patch.
David in Westminster, thanks very much.